Russia has defaulted on its foreign debt for the first time in more than a century. Ash, what more do we know about this?
Well, it's for the first time since 1918. It's the culmination of Western sanctions that have essentially shut down those payment routes to overseas creditors. For months, the country has found ways around these penalties imposed. But yesterday, the grace period on about $100 million in interest payments that were due May 27th expired. Russia calls the whole situation a farce, saying it has the money to make the payment, but sanctions are making it impossible. Now, analysts say Russia does not need to raise money internationally because it is reaping revenue from the high-priced commodities such as oil. But in the long run, the default could hang over the economy and make recovery a whole lot more difficult. Stu.
All right, I want to bring in General Jack Keane, four-star general, now retired. And General, I want to talk about the war in Ukraine. We are told that we, America, will speed the delivery of highly effective surface-to-air missile defense systems. I believe they're called the MANSAMs, like the ones used to guard facilities at U.S. bases. Are those weapons truly advanced? Would they make a difference? And will they get through?
Oh, yeah. One, they're advanced. Two, they're going to make a difference, and we'll get it to them as quickly as possible. A step out absolutely in the right direction. It is really quite remarkable, Stuart. When I took a briefing in the Pentagon some 2+ weeks ago, I asked the question, how effective is the Ukrainian air defense systems in terms of their integrated air defense? That means their radar, their command and control, and their batteries of missiles. And the guy told me, he said, sir, they still have 74% of their existing systems. That is absolutely stunning that the Russians do not have the capability to eliminate that. All that said, these systems are very advanced and will complement what the Ukrainians do. That's why the strike that took place on Kyiv this morning, that came from as far away as Russia. They were not, the airplanes that delivered the strike were not inside Ukraine because they knew that Ukrainian air defense systems would put them at risk. Yes, this is what needs to be done. Continue to provide Ukrainians advanced weapon systems in the volume they need it, and certainly as quickly as possible, Stuart.
What I'm picking up from a lot of people is that America and the Europeans are actually slow-walking the delivery of decisive weapons. What's your opinion on that?
It's true for some of the Europeans, the French and the Germans specifically. Most of the Europeans are really very forthcoming. The Poles, the Brits, the Baltic states, all in, the Netherlands, all in. Our decision-making process, I got into that a little bit. That has taken time. When Ukrainians request a system that they haven't requested before, like howitzers or like these multiple rocket launchers, that goes into the National Security Council, and they argue back and forth whether that's going to provoke Russia or not. Sometimes that doesn't just take days, that takes weeks. That system is not serving us very well, in my judgment. But once the decision is made, the Pentagon ships very quickly and delivers that goods somewhat rapidly to the Ukrainians based on the feedback we're getting.
Will the U.S. organize protection for Ukraine's grain ships? Because at the moment they're blocked. They can't get out of those ports in the, I think it's the Black Sea, or that area. Are we going to organize convoys to protect those grain ships?
Yeah, that's a great question and something that we've been advocating for some time, so our audience understands. The economy in Ukraine is completely dependent on their manufacturing products being exported globally. And all of that is being blocked right now because the Russian Navy will not let the cargo ships come in to pick up the grain. I believe the United States should organize an international coalition made up of mostly non-NATO countries who would be in receipt of that grain with warships, escort the cargo ships through international waters, never leave international waters, so that they can go into the port of Odessa and get it out. It's not just devastating for Ukraine's economy, now contracting at 35%, going to 50%, and likely heading towards an economic failed state. if this isn't done, but it's also impacting the world's food supply, and huge famines are predicted in Africa, which means significant loss of life. I mean, this is a humanitarian relief operation that can be organized by the United States, as we did during the 80s under Reagan in the Gulf and under Trump a couple of years ago. The issue is, will Russia do something about that? Possibly. Should that stand us down and prevent us from doing it? I don't think so. But that really is the issue that's holding back the administration.
General, you know what you're talking about. That's really appreciated. Thanks for being with us this morning, sir, and we do hope to see you again real soon. Thank you, sir.